This is Angela Skirtu, and you can find me at www.therapistintstlouis.com. Today, I would like to talk to you about what 3 different resolutions can look like in a conflict. So the first type of resolution you want to find as a couple is what we call the win-wins, where everybody gets a little bit of something they want, right? So a win-win is where you get happy and I get happy. The way to get to a win-win is to first deeply understand each other. Like, what do you want? What do I want? What's going on for you? So you can't rush to resolution. You have to start with acknowledgement and understanding of each person's side. Then when you have done that, then you can come up with solutions that are win-wins, where you both feel like, okay, I'm represented and you're represented, for example. So that's one type of resolution. There's a second type, which is compromise. In compromises, we each get a little bit, but we each take a little bit, right? And one thing I've learned about this type of resolution is that it does come at a cost. And if a couple doesn't find a way to acknowledge that cost with each other, then it causes little resentment and hurt. So for example, if somebody moves across the country and they're doing it for somebody, like they're doing it for their partner, there is a pro and a con to that compromise, right? So the pro might be we're going to make more money, we're in a sunny state, or we're in a pretty state where we get a bigger house, whatever. There might be financial positives. You're moving forward in your career, for example, but there are some sacrifices that are happening as a result of this compromise. And those sacrifices might be, I'm losing my social connections. I am feeling lonely for the first year, because it takes about 1 to 2 years to really settle into a new home and a new community. It could be I'm losing my sense of security, or I'm not around my family, my friends, the people that I love the most. So for this compromise to work, the person who is getting the move needs to deeply acknowledge the person who's making the sacrifice. Otherwise, that person, even though like in theory it all makes sense, we're going to make more money, you're moving up in your career, it's going to help all of us, there's still sacrifices that are being made to get to this new place. So the person who's getting this sacrifice from another person, like in couples where there's a deep acknowledgement for that sacrifice, those couples do better than the couples that just don't say anything or just expect it. So for example, a deep acknowledgement might sound like, hey babe, I really appreciate that you moved here for me. I know this was a lot and I'm sorry that it was, I appreciate that you've done this. So you don't always have to apologize for it either. I want to make sure, like, you don't have to apologize for existing, by the way. But like a deep acknowledgement is just stating, I get that this was a lot for you to come here, and I just deeply appreciate you doing this for me. Thank you. And I know that it's hard for you to be away from your family, so it means a lot to me that you came here with me so that we could do this thing. That's an acknowledgement. And if people feel verbally acknowledged for their sacrifices, it becomes easier to accept that, yeah, this is the choice I made, and I did make it because you're an adult. So as an adult, it is still your job to be very aware of the choice you're making and choose it like for yourself. You don't just do something for somebody else. You challenge yourself to like look at the pieces of the situation and make that decision for you too, or you don't. Then you need to keep having a conversation until you guys get to some kind of agreement about what the next step is. But like once you've made a decision, it's your job to accept it. That like, nope, I did this, I've made this decision, I'm gonna do the best with the decision that I've made, but I have also agreed to come move to this place. But even with those conversations, if there is an acknowledgement for the sacrifice, then that has an impact in a couple's relationship. So with compromise, the best form of resolution is it's with you get some of your wins, but you acknowledge any sacrifices associated with those wins. And then the third form of resolution is just acknowledgement. So there are situations where you and your partner are not going to see eye to eye. You are going to be on the opposite side of the fence, and there is no way to see eye to eye. There's no middle ground. Like that, we live in a world like that where that happens sometimes. In those situations, though, couples who can at least acknowledge each other's perspective still feel a form of resolution. And so that could look like, I see why you feel this way. It's hard for me to see it that way, but I do see how you see it this way. Like, so you're just stating that they see it this way and you respect it. Like, and that's it. Like, and you both have to say that to each other. So like, I've been working with a lot of couples on opposite ends of the political spectrum. And so like in a couple where there's a Democrat and a Republican, for example, you can have a conversation where you try to hear each other out and you listen to their side, but at the end, you're not going to change your perspective. You each have your values. That doesn't change. So it might look like saying, I see that you see this way, and that's important to you. So I get why you see that way. That doesn't mean you agree to them, because you still see it your way. But couples who can at least acknowledge at the end of that disagreement, I see why you see it this way, are at least feel some form of resolution. Now, to be fair, in those situations, they will come up on a regular basis. It's not something that's going to go away. But if you can at least have a conversation where you respectfully listen to each other and at least acknowledge each other's, like an understanding of where that person's coming from, then that can still be a resolution. So this is Angela Skirchu, and you can find me at www.therapistinstlouis.com.